The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual guests. If you're a sensitive snowflake that may get easily offended, then turn this off immediately. If you want to hear the real truth about the gun culture, then stick around. This is the Armed Citizen Podcast. What is going on, my Go Squad? Welcome to the Armed Citizen Podcast. This is this is episode number 128, and sounds like Clover might be sick again. I hope that's just a cough. But
I thought you had me muted, dude. I mean, normally you mute everybody.
I don't think I ever have to mute you because
you're slacking tonight. The one time I don't mute. It's the time you forget to mute.
The one time that you just screw this whole thing up. It's all good.
Okay, starting over, right?
Yeah, let's start over. Thanks for joining everybody live. If you guys are watching live, go ahead and say hello in the chat. We don't know if you're out there. If you're a long time supporter and listener and viewer of the show, then welcome back to my squad. If you're new to the channel, new to the podcast, then welcome. Let us know where you're from. We'll give you a shout out. And always, if you have questions or comments that you want us to talk about, go ahead and tag one of us on the panel. And you can tag that by at the @ symbol and then my name, or at Clover, or whoever else jumps in here later. Or you can text them to 530-364-4678. That is our hotline. You will get pushed somewhere close to the top of the line if you text those in. We're going to have fun tonight. There's been a lot of obviously stuff going on politically with the 2020 elections coming up and what it could mean, not just for America, but for the Second Amendment as well. And obviously there's some legislations going around cross country. And then there's been a lot of rallies either happening or being planned. And we'll discuss kind of our takes on the rallies, what they mean, what they could mean, what they don't mean, and all of that. So let's bring in our quasi co-host at this time. He's definitely someone that you guys all know, and if you're around my channel, then obviously you guys are going to know him as well. But from the great state of Texas, the sickly one. What's up, Clover?
What up? Nah, not sickly. Just
not sick. That's good. Well, you worry because, you went through a time a few weeks ago that you were pretty sick.
Well, and I don't know that I'm 100% from SHOT Show.
Really?
So, I think that's still a little bit of leftover from that. I mean, it's taken that long. Yeah. Well, I'm not a go to the doctor medicine type of guy either. So I naturally stick it out and tough it out and put up with it for weeks.
Well, it's one of those things where I don't go to the doctor unless I absolutely have to. And by then, my wife has pretty much made the doctor's appointment for me. So I really don't have much of a choice. So she knows not to ask, just to go ahead and do it. So it is what it is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Let's go. We quit doing this for the longest time, but let's kind of go through the room and say hey to everybody and give a little bit of a shout out to people. We got G23 out there. It says was first, and welcome G23 Nighthawk. And Nighthawk was going to come down and shoot this weekend, but it was raining. Boy, it was raining pretty bad this weekend, so we didn't have our fun shoot. Kingpin's out there off the X. What's up, Lance? Let's see here. Weston's out there. Buck's out there. 223's out there. JS is out there. JJ, Gary. Budget's out there. Joe Ziola. What's up, Joe? And let's see here. Let me go down. This thing is, once you go down a little bit, it skips on you, so you have to be careful. Streetport's out there. What's up, Streetport? WP's out there. He says, I hope you enjoyed my last comment I texted you. I enjoy all the comments you text me, Warsaw. Some of them get down some crazy, weird roads, but I love your passion, bro. I love your passion. You're young, and I think that you understand most what's going on. Sometimes you're a little misguided in your, I would say, your passion sometimes, but who am I to tell you not to be passionate? So thanks for keep sending them in. Let's see here. Georgia Truckers out there says, hello, folks. I hope, Georgia, you might be driving right now. If you are, hopefully we can keep you from falling asleep. I can't guarantee it. So tonight we're going to discuss some, like I said, some election talk and some legislation that's out there, rallies. I know that Washington State, I think Yankee and some others that we know were up at Olympia today and had a discussion on a finance bill that they kind of put in a capacity ban. They kind of slid that into a finance bill. So I haven't heard how it went. Have you heard anything about how it went up there today?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Well, I know that Yankee was up there and a couple of the people that we know. I think maybe Kerry was up there, but there was up in Olympia, Washington, there was some stuff that they had basically kind of squashed as far as magazine capacities in a committee, but then they kind of slid some of that into a finance bill that they were going to have discussions on today, trying to slide that right on through. But I think there were some people that were watching that closely, Yankee being one of them. And, you know, for all that Yankee is, and he is a lot of things, let's not lie about that. But Yankee does have the pulse, at least, of what's going on in Washington State. He has done a phenomenal job, not only fundraising, but bringing to light a lot of things about Washington. And I would imagine you can jump in here on this because you know him well as well. Also, Yankee doesn't hold many punches. And when Yankee gets on a roll, you may not like everything he says, but he can definitely rally the troop when needed, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I mean, what better guy to have on the bugle, right?
Yeah. You know, there's gonna be some stuff that he says that not everyone agrees, but that's okay. That's what we're here for. We don't always have to agree on everything. Guy that comments is out there. Andrew's out there. Patriot, what's going on, brother? But yeah, so there are a lot of rallies going on, and that's basically, you know, kind of took the lead from the 2A rally back in November in Washington, D.C. And you know, when we were talking, we've talked about that and privately and then publicly and all that, but you know, people were a little disappointed to a certain extent about what happened at the 2A rally in DC. And for me, you know, it was never about how many people showed up in DC for that rally. It was what happens the next day and what happens a week, a month, and 2 months, 3 months after the rally. And we're starting to see that, you know, there's a discussion that comes up that says that rallies, as far as the Second Amendment, are almost pointless. And what's up, TJ? New York Outcasts out there. And to a certain extent, I understand what they're saying is very few people in the Second Amendment community will get out and do something unless they are directly affected by something that's going on. So it's hard to judge what happens with 2A rallies. But my whole thing was leading up to that was I really don't care what happens there. It's great that we're having it. But what happens tomorrow? And it seemingly looks like that there are a lot of states, and a lot of them already had them in the last month, but there's a lot of other states going on and having rallies again. And so maybe that this is what the result is from the 2A rally. And I think that having a beautiful demonstration on, what was it, January the 21st, I believe, down in Richmond, Virginia, with 50 to 60,000 people, many of them armed, but many of them coming from different ethnic and social backgrounds and probably political backgrounds, but at least were fighting the tyranny of unconstitutional bills that were coming down the line. Very peaceful, very loving, and I think that was probably a very good example of what's happening and what could happen for the next year with rallies. What do you think about Virginia kind of being the stepping stone?
Yeah, I think that was the catalyst. I don't know that the DC rally had a whole lot to do with it. I think it was the Virginia thing more than anything. And yeah, I think, I don't know, more to me, more important than rallies. I've been talking about this for a while, especially since my county went Second Amendment sanctuary, is that we really need to be pushing. This is an election year, and if there ever was a time to get on to those local county officials and get that done, now's the time. Don't wait until it's too late. Don't wait until your state is proposing stuff like that, right? Do it now. Do it during election time. It's a good time to knock that out and get that done, and not have to worry about it, last minute and all that good stuff. And I think I think that's what um, I think they did it right in Virginia. I mean, you had everybody. They went with the Second Amendment sanctuary movement, and then that kind of had everybody together and on the same page to be able to then turn around and call a rally and make it work. And I think that's an example. I think that may be why you see more rallies. And I guess maybe overall that's my point, is you're seeing a lot more rallies because of what happened from Virginia, and that rally there potentially happened. Let's say nobody knows the future. But I think where people are maybe glossing over it is, again, what happened before the rally, which was the Second Amendment sanctuary movement. So while you're having your rallies in your other states, that's cool. But how about we have a rally to move counties toward that Second Amendment sanctuary as well?
Yeah, Nicholas Rodriguez. I don't remember seeing that name. Welcome, Nicholas. Said that it was a VCDL rally, but the movement exploded on social media. No organization brought those numbers together. It was a grassroots movement. And that's exactly what I think we're trying to talk about is and I want to touch on something that Warsaw up there was talking about. He was glad to see that, GOA, FPC, SAF, USCC were involved, but not the NRA. But see, here's the thing. I take it a different step than Warsaw. Maybe this is, just my opinion, but, I've been saying, you've been saying, there's a lot of people that have been saying for a year, over a year now, a couple years now, that we need to get away from the life preserver that is the NRA. We need to understand that they're out there to do their job, and whatever, if they're doing a good job, bad job, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's NRA or any of these organizations. They have a place in the boat, but they don't need to be the propeller. They don't need to be the engine of the boat. We are the engine. And the fact that we're seemingly still, a lot of our, culture community is still relying on these different organizations to lead us. Well, that's how the NRA got to where they were to begin with, is we blindly followed who we thought was a leader. No. We are the leader. And I think that what Nicholas is saying, it was a grassroots movement, and that's exactly what it needs to be. Yep. We need to do the work ourselves. Who cares if the GOA, SAF, and NRA and all these different organizations jump on later on and take credit? It doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter whatsoever. If the grassroots, that's how this is organically going to grow nationwide, is not following the lead of organizations, but make the organizations follow our lead. And that's exactly what I think that, they were talking about. Nicholas was talking about his grassroots, and it started out as a Virginia Citizens Defense League rally. And yes, it kind of just became this thing, and it's beautiful. But we don't need the organizations to jump on. If they want to jump on, let them jump on, but we shouldn't be relying on them or hoping that they're going to jump on. Let's see here. There's the talk out there that it's the FUD flu that you have.
It could be.
Could be the FUD flu. So like I said, the rallies are great. I know there's going to be a lot of them coming down this year, and anything that we can get as far as being two-way and having peaceful demonstrations and gatherings, that's exactly what we need. So keep the rallies coming. If there's not a rally in your state, then start trying to organize one yourself. Be that person. Don't wait for your neighbor to have the idea. If you've got the idea, run with it. Try to get some people locally and start out. Maybe it doesn't have to be a state rally. Start at your local county courthouse. That would be a wonderful place, especially with primaries, maybe sheriff elections coming up, or aldermen or JPs or city council members. Start at the municipality and then move to the county courthouse, then move to the state level if you want to, but start very, very local, because Clover's been saying, a lot of people have been saying it, these elections could be crucial, but more crucial for your local and state, because I really, and that maybe I'm blind, maybe I'm naive, I don't know. I really don't see a ton of anti-2A stuff passing as laws right now at the federal level. But that may not be the case at the state and local level, which is really going to be where you're affected personally. The federal level could be some regulation bills proposed. I don't think it's going to pass, but at the local and state level, that's where the representatives can truly affect your individual lives. So, kind of moving in, transitioning into the elections. Did you happen to see that Bloomberg got a surprise endorsement yesterday? Did you see that Clint Eastwood Bloomberg yesterday? I found that very interesting. Were we fooled by Eastwood, or is it the fact that Eastwood 89 years old just maybe has different things now?
I think we all need to be endorsing Bloomberg.
Well, I in that sense of the matter, yes, I do too. If we want someone to run against Trump, Bloomberg's the one.
So yeah, I think so, because the vast majority of Democrats are going to stay home if Bloomberg's the candidate. Make no mistake about that. So let's look at that from a public political play standpoint from Eastwood. Did maybe he made that comment? Maybe
I don't
he
think
did that. I don't think so. I don't think so either. I don't think so either. I think he probably was sincere and genuine, and that's probably who he wants. But, at the end of the day, I'm glad he did. Let him do it. I mean, hopefully that sways a bunch of people and they go out and vote for Bloomberg.
Yeah. Do you happen to watch any of the Democratic debates or anything? Do you watch any of that stuff?
Very little.
Yeah,
Very little.
I do.
I prefer,
a little bit.
I get more enjoyment watching the Saturday Night Live skits, honestly.
No, I understand that. We'll talk about that as well. Warren just completely obliterated Bloomberg in the last debate for about 5 minutes, and it was one of those things where I'm kind of in the same boat as you are. I'm really not terribly worried about Bloomberg. If he is the candidate on the Democratic side, I'm not really not too worried about that. Warren, I think, is the best candidate for the Democrats, and she scares me. She's very smart. She's very well spoken. I think she's gonna have a tough time winning over. She's just not very likable. You know what I'm saying? She just, I can't look at her and listen to her and say, yeah, she's got a personality that I can get behind, whether politics aside. But she's the one that scares me from the crowd that's left over is her. She's the only one that I truly, and I don't really worry about her against Trump because, Trump's going to be Trump, but she does worry me a little bit. Let's see here. TJ's out there. What's up, TJ? I think I said 7 out there, but yeah. So we and I talked about on a private phone call and all that we both get a kick out of SNL's skits, and we were talking about that before. Previously they got really, 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 really political, like over the top political. But it seems like this time, even maybe because obviously SNL is more left leaning skewed here, but I think even they are starting to recognize the joke that is the Democratic Party.
I think so, and I think it's indicative of people talk about how the country's in the crapper and this, that, and the other. And I think if you watch SNL and you see, of course, even back several years ago when they were harping on Trump or they were harping on Palin or whatever it might be, a lot of that stuff's funny. You just got to sit down and you've got to take it for the comedy it is sometimes, right? And understand that, it's comedy from their perspective, but it's still comedy. And enjoy it for the art that it is. But when you look at something like Saturday Night Live, I mean, how many people watch Saturday Night Live as opposed to the nightly news, right? The 24/7 news cycle, or pay attention to politics or do anything? They're going to watch Saturday Night Live long before they do any of that. The average person, I think. So when you're talking about a show like Saturday Night Live, and you talk about Lorne Michaels, and you talk about all of the the producers and the executives and everything else involved, they have a certain amount of pulse on their viewership and their demographic. Sure. They have to. So if they're going after, comedy wise, they're going after all these Democrats and stuff like that, they're not doing it because the large part of their viewership and the people out there are they're not spitting in their face. In other words, you feel what I'm saying? So I think it lends itself to one of them situations where maybe the country is not so left leaning split bad as what we think it is. If SNL is able to make those types of jokes and clearly get away with it.
Yeah, I honestly I don't think that the vast majority of America is left leaning. I think that the vast number of Americans out there are probably a lot like me and you know, like you are, and many people probably fiscally conservative and socially relatively liberal. You know, I mean, there are going to be some, obviously we have, in not just the two-way, but in everything, you've got that 10% and 10% that are diehards. But I think that the vast amount of Americans aren't one or the other. You know, it's okay to be socially liberal and fiscally conservative, or socially conservative and fiscally liberal. You know, there's not just one little hole. And I think that that's where, it's interesting. We talk about the third party candidates and the rise of the third party when the third party finally have a chance. And there's a part of me that says that if there was ever a time for a third party candidate to actually make a true run, yeah, we had Perot back in, what was that, 88 or 92? He was 92, I guess. And, you know, got what, 20% of the vote. And that was probably the largest third party candidate ever, is 20%. And that's great. But to have a third party candidate that's actually probably got a chance of winning, this might have been an opportunity, because the Democratic Party is so in shambles right now, and they're in disarray. They really don't have an identity. And we've talked about this, about Trump being at best a moderate. And when you've brought the Republican Party to the middle, the Democratic Party, just to be away from him, has to go so far left that I think they're going down a road that even the DNC leadership doesn't really want to go down. They don't want to go down the socialist path. But at this point, to be different than President Trump, they've got to go full libtard almost, you know? So I think it's interesting in what you're saying about being most of America being moderate. And I think you're right. Programs like Saturday Night Live. And I know there's a lot of people out there saying they don't watch Saturday Night Live and I don't do this. And you're talking to a guy and myself that watches movies for entertainment. You know, I watch TV shows for entertainment. There will be a time when I'm watching SNL that's just not funny, where I think they're getting too stupid political, that I'll just turn it off. But there are a lot of the skits that are great. And you brought up the Palin. One of the greatest skits I ever saw when it started, the political skits of SNL, is Palin. There was I guess it was the vice president debate back in the day when it was Palin versus Hillary. And Amy Poehler was playing Hillary, and obviously Tina Fey was playing Palin. And it was just comical magic. It really was. It was just one of those things that you're just like, they went political, but it wasn't like a full libtard political. It was, once again, the Republican Party won. You know, we're going to, looks like they were going to win this thing. And all of a sudden, I mean, this is before Obama, but originally it looked like Palin was going to get to the White House possibly before Hillary ever would. And the complete just discontent that Amy Poehler had in her face for Palin, it was hilarious. And like I said, I love political satire, regardless if it's left leaning or right, because that's what it is. It's satire. And I truly don't think, and maybe, I don't know, I'll bring you in here, but do you think that SNL is truly going to sway votes? I mean, honestly.
No, I don't believe so. No, not at all.
Yeah. 223 says the Democrats are commies. There are a lot of programs that they are discussing from the DNC that could be construed as communist or communistic qualities. I will say that. TJ says never go full libtard. No. What are we going to say? Go ahead.
Well, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. some of the comments that's going on out there make me a little bit uncomfortable because all Democrats are not commies. First of all,
Right.
I know some local Democrats, for example, that are not. And I fail to believe in Virginia when you have Democrats that obviously had to jump, right, to shut down some of that stuff and voted against their party, and you call them commies. So
Right.
I think we have to be careful. We have to quit generalizing stuff because, you know, again, go back to Virginia. I mean, there were Democrats that saved the day there, right? But yeah,
Oh, yeah.
we want
Yeah.
to demonize all Democrats for some reason. So
Yeah.
let's stop that and let's say that commies are commies. Well, you don't have to have a party affiliation for that. There's some Republicans
Yeah,
out
there
there
is.
that
It's called a
done
communist
some pretty
party in
crazy
America.
things.
They actually have their own party in America. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Now Nick out there is talking about Tom Hanks on Black Jeopardy. Oh my God.
That
And I know
was
that goes down a totally different rabbit hole. Doug was his name, by the way. I was
Doug.
So
Yeah. Doug was great. And all of the Jeopardy. I mean, you've got, Sean Connery on the Jeopardy. It's hilarious. Pink
Yeah.
says he quit watching SNL when Buckwheat got assassinated. No reason to watch anymore.
Oh wow.
That was gosh, early to mid 80s with Eddie Murphy. I mean, that was the golden era. That was the beginning of the Eddie Murphy, was kind of tail end of Chevy Chase and all those guys that I was never a big Dan Aykroyd fan.
Yeah,
I like some of the stuff, but I was never like, I love, but no, I was never a big Dan. I was a huge Chevy Chase, Steve Martin. I'm a Martin Short fan. When he would come on a lot. I love Martin Short. But then it got weird there for a while, and then they had seemed to go on like cycles of like 5-6 years where really good stuff, and then really good stuff, and so yeah. But Doug was great.
They lose their talent, and that's going to happen when you've got that's kind of a variety show.
They're going to want too much money, or they're going to get movies or whatever.
Yeah. A lot of the comedians, cut their teeth there. Just look at the great comedians that's come out of SNL, right? And they get offers for movies, or they get offers for TV specials, or this, that, and the other, and they leave. And I mean, it leaves a hole, and I mean, they've got to try to fill that hole, and it's an ensemble type situation too, where everybody has to play off of each other very well and all of that. So it takes a while when you lose somebody to find the right person to fill their shoes that works well with everybody else.
Gary says Phil Hartman. Now, Phil Hartman was maybe one of the most underrated comics. There's two people that I love. Both of them, I think, were loved later. Phil Hartman dies, and I think he kind of becomes more. He was underappreciated at his time. But I tell you another one that he's one of my favorite comics today is Norm Macdonald.
Oh yeah,
Norm Macdonald was one of the quickest, still is one of the quickest, funniest. He's a great, I guess you could call him, what would you call him? Maybe a straight man, in a comic, because he just stays dry. I love Norm Macdonald, and he got fired, I think. He got fired from SNL, but
that was some controversy.
Was great.
Yeah.
What's that?
I said, there was some controversy around it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Phil Hartman was great. Then you go into the Farleys of the world, and the David Spays, and obviously, you've got Will Ferrell's of the world. What people don't realize is there was so much talent as writers that never got in front of the camera. You would be amazed at some of the writers that used to write. I mean, obviously Tina Fey and all these guys wrote, but people like or dislike Conan O'Brien, but Conan O'Brien was at very first was a writer on SNL, and Conan, sometimes I love him, sometimes I can't stand him, but he is a very funny individual, and is probably a much better writer than he is maybe a host, I guess. But he wrote some of the best skits out there. Tina Fey, people don't realize how talented this woman is. She is an incredible comic, actress and all that, but she was a writer, and Louis C.K. was a writer on SNL. I mean, there's some of these great people that later on in life got their break, but they all started out as writers, which is phenomenal. I'm not even sure what 223 is mentioning out there, but I don't think I'll bring that one up.
Off on a tangent.
Huh?
We got off on a bit of a tangent there.
That's all good. I enjoy this stuff, and but it comes down full circle to celebrities and do they have influence on political? And I think they do. I think that obviously there are a lot of people. I would say that there are people that are almost issue ignorant, that really don't have passion for any true thing that they're voting for, but they want to vote. So obviously they're the same people that are going to watch Entertainment Tonight and all that. So sure, there are people out there that are going to be swayed by, celebrities. That's why you see these political candidates always trying to surround themselves with famous people. That's just part of politics. But you also know what is part of politics also is to going into your hometown on a campaign. And they have people for weeks before they even show up to your town, and they figure out over the last 4 to 8 years what's been the one thing that has caused your town or your county or your state trouble. And they exploit that and tell you that the other guy's to blame for it. That's called Politics 101. So if you're out there listening to campaigns, educate yourself and don't just go by what the candidates or the newspapers or radios or whatever TV's telling you. Educate yourself, because if you fall victim to the charade, that's when we seriously have problems. Sorry, you were going to say something.
I wasn't.
Oh, okay, I thought I heard you starting to talk there. But yeah, and I think a lot of it comes down, you were talking earlier about labeling Democrats or Republicans as one thing or the other. Understand also that there are counties within very Republican states that have historically voted Democrat. Let's just take this for example. For some reason, there are states that will always be a Republican state, but there are still counties within those states that are very heavily Democrat. Even though someone runs for office under the Democratic Party, doesn't necessarily they mean that they're going to agree with the Democratic ticket all the way down. It just means that they realize that that county's never going to elect a Republican. So if they want to even have a chance before they even start, they're going to run as a Democrat. I'm just saying. So be cognitive of your district, your county, whatever that is, history, that just because you see a D next to someone doesn't necessarily mean that they are a Democrat. If you see an R next to them, doesn't necessarily mean that they're Republican. You might have once again a county that will always vote Republican. So even if a Democrat wants to run, they might register as a Republican for that seat because they know if there's a D next to their name, they'll never have a chance. Once again, it comes back down to educating yourself, finding out more about these candidates. If these candidates are going to have town hall meetings, whether it's in your local or state level or federal, if they're going to have a town hall meeting where you can go and ask questions, go. And whether you ask a question or not, listen to all the other questions. And hopefully you're able to read the candidate and figure out if there's some part of that that's the truth in there or if it's a complete lie. Hopefully you're able to read people enough to realize what they're trying to say. I love watching faces. I'm one of those people that if I'm in a town hall meeting and there's 3 or 4 candidates on something and someone's asking a question, let's say to Clover, I'm going to look at the other 3 or 4 people while Clover is listening because I want to see their facial expressions. When I love watching people when they don't know that people are looking at them. And you can find out a lot about people when they don't think that anyone's looking at them. They're going out there saying Belushi was the best. Belushi was great. I don't know if there was a best on SNL. There's definitely an upper tier.
Hard to pick,
Regardless of what I personally think about Aykroyd, that initial cast of Aykroyd, Belushi, Chevy Chase, and all these guys, they were all, they created, live and impromptu satire. So they created this genre that didn't exist before. But Belushi was great. There's a party that says I think Farley might have been better than Belushi as far as the physical comedy. I think that Farley might have been better than Belushi. just because Farley truly, I think Belushi is funny because he didn't know what he was saying at the time. It was just crazy. Farley was looking to do anything absolutely stupid and crazy to gain a laugh, and I loved him for that.
Well, going back to what you said earlier, you talking about the labels and the D and the R behind your name, is that
right?
A little bit of Civics 101 here, because I had seen a thing on Facebook. Oh, I don't know, it was a few days ago or so, because we're in early voting now for the primaries. And had a lady on there was voting for the very first time, and she's my age or close to it, voting for the very first time, and was upset because she went down and was registering to vote and all this other stuff, and was upset that she had to declare a party, and wanted to know why she had to declare a party, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know, maybe this doesn't work the same in other states. Maybe this doesn't work the same in other counties. I'm not saying it does. Just want to give a little bit of Civics 101 about how it works around here and why it is that way.
Mm-hmm.
And her deal was it shouldn't matter. You should just be able to vote, blah, blah. What we couldn't seem to get across to her is that she doesn't have to declare to vote in a general election. That doesn't matter. Just go vote. However, in a primary, the reason that you do is to weed out the people from a particular side or a particular party, right? To choose the candidate for the particular party that you're affiliated with, right? So you've got a vested interest in a way in that particular candidate come the general election. So if you just allowed anybody and everybody to come in and vote in a primary,
right,
then it would be complete chaos.
Yeah, we're having early voting right now for the primary, and obviously some state and local initiatives going through. But the primary people think, I won't vote until the general election, and the problem with that is this: you can allow someone to gain momentum if there's not a lot of people voting in the primary. And they're not just talking on percentages here, but they also will look at across the board. They'll look at hey, there's Snob. They'll look at numbers and they'll sit there and the primary votes are so misleading because so many people don't vote in the primary elections. The problem with that is if you don't stop it now, okay, there are people that I know that are in some states you have to register Republican or Democrat, especially for primary votes. But there are a lot of people that I know that don't, that register themselves independent because they're not sure. But what they'll do is they'll find a party. Let's say they'll take, for instance, right now, the Democratic Party. And at one point there was 27 candidates. I mean, there was an enormous amount of candidates initially that had filed to run. And it's obviously been cut probably in half by now. But if you're going to go vote in the primary, it is just as important to vote in the primary it is the general election, because at this point you're voting your taste or distaste for candidates right now. And if you're looking at someone you don't like, let's say Warren or Biden or any of them, and you're independent, which means you could probably go and vote either side you want, go vote. If you're worried about someone giving your candidate on the Republican side that you think you're probably going to vote for in Trump, either vote for Trump in the primary, or you can go and vote on the Democratic side and vote against someone that you're worried about. So the primaries are very, very crucial, especially because a lot of the state initiatives and local initiatives happen in the primary votes. They add those on because in November, people are going to be so worried about the federal elections that people just completely forget or don't care about local and state elections. That's why you're going to see a lot of the primary votes are going to have local and state initiatives attached to them. So don't just say that I'm not going to go and vote until the general election. If you have a primary vote right now, go vote in the primaries. Once again, use your voice because that's going to maybe help shape what happens in November. So let's welcome in the gun snob. What's up, Snob?
That's it. Sorry, I'm late. Just got home.
Yeah, no worries. So what we've been talking, we've been talking a little bit about a lot of stuff, but the elections and the rallies. I want to talk to you real quick, and I'll let you jump in and kind of catch you up if you want to. We started talking about the rallies and whether it was the DC rally or Virginia rally kind of being a catalyst. We are seeing a lot of states jumping on board with rallies right now. Is this something that is caused by those others, or do you think it's just the election year fever?
I don't know. I really think Virginia woke a lot of people up. I really do. I don't necessarily think it was probably the national rally that did that much, but I think Virginia is where it's really started. Maybe the national rally kind of barely started it all. Then Virginia really kicked it off.
Yeah.
But I noticed there's a lot of, I seen the Arizona one was a lot bigger rally than what you used to see too. So.
Yeah, I remember seeing, I guess G had put some video out or something that was, he said that not only the people were probably double or triple, but the space that it took was at least double. So that's good. Ashley was out there. What's up, Chica? And yeah, there's a lot of say. Is Oklahoma having any rallies coming up?
They're having one. Oh crap! I follow it. It's the Saturday that we're going to be at NRAM. The 18th, I believe, is the day.
Okay, fantastic.
They're having one. So
yeah. Sounds. Now there was someone talking up here, and I know that Warsaw can get down some rabbit holes, but he was asking me about the celebrities being too sexualized. The halftime sucked. I love the halftime, but once again, I'm a very big fan of Shakira. So I appreciated Shakira's artistry. Not a big fan of J-Lo, so I could really care less about that. But I'll tell you what, we had a discussion, and go back, kind of bring it back politically, and I'm probably going to get in trouble by saying this, but I will say that I don't know if you saw, did you see the political ad that Bloomberg put out during the Super Bowl at all? No,
I think I saw it. Somebody shared it on Facebook, and I saw it there, but I didn't watch the Super Bowl, so no.
Well, there you go. It was politically, it was a perfect ad. It really was. It was scary. It's going to pull at the heartstrings of mothers and all of that. And politically, it was a perfect ad. The problem that Bloomberg is having is, I think we're starting to see that he's better, and I'll let you talk about this also. He seemingly is better at pulling strings with his money from behind the scene because he's not done well in any of these debates. If you saw the last debate, Warren absolutely destroyed him. And he had literally had the deer in the headlights look in that debate. And I was like, oh, that's not good. And I don't care how much money you have. Eventually, if you have a deer in the headlights and you're getting owned every time, you're going to get probably, hey, I think you should go back behind the scenes and pay money. We were talking earlier, and I'll get your opinion on this. I think that for the people that are probably going to vote for President Trump, I think the candidate that we all want to see is Bloomberg, because I think that Trump would wipe it with Bloomberg. Warren scares me. She is actually pretty sharp and pretty articulate. She actually scares me. I don't want Bloomberg to go away because I think Trump can win by 10 points plus if Bloomberg's a candidate.
Well, what you were saying a minute ago, whenever I was kind of listening before I got on, was you were talking about SNL, and right there is the reason for Trump to go against Bloomberg. That would be great, just seeing those two SNL skits when it's them two up against each other.
It's one of those that. Okay, so here we go. Is it wrong to vote for a candidate because we know what their SNL character is going to be? I mean, is it wrong? Because for the entertainment side of me, I do think that they could have fun with Warren. I think they could have fun with Biden. But my God, the billionaire duel between Bloomberg and Trump would be epic on SNL. Once again, there's people out there. I watch SNL for entertainment. There is nothing that's going to happen on SNL that's going to sway my vote. So I can watch SNL and just understand that it's satire and it's comedy. So I would love to see some of those skits. I enjoy watching Alec Baldwin just absolutely just blow up and over the top do Trump. I think that it's funny. It doesn't make me change my mind about President Trump. I just enjoy the comedic side of it. So, yeah, I think you're right. I think the Bloomberg Trump skits would be hilarious. Let's see here. Now, I will say Bernie also, because when you get Larry David in doing Bernie, that's pretty good. I'm a big Larry David fan too, so I love that side of it. Nicholas Rodriguez says, I think Bernie would provide entertainment value. He would be a president without any control of the House. No. I'm not saying that I want any of these fools elected. I'm just saying for the comedic factor side, I think that it would be funny. Clover, what you're a snob. President Trump versus who on the left would provide the best skits on SNL? Is it Bloomberg, Warren, Bernie, Biden? Who would bring up the best skits for SNL?
Probably Bloomberg.
Yeah. I think Bloomberg or Bernie, just because once again it's Larry David, but Bloomberg would be hilarious. Yeah, because they'll probably get some midget, for Bloomberg or something.
Well, they don't.
I can say
already. Well, they already don't seem to like Bloomberg very well.
Right.
So, does anyone actually like Bloomberg unless they're getting paid by him?
That's the thing. That right there. Yeah. No one. I don't think anyone actually truly likes Bloomberg. Just look at his record up in New York. I don't even think that the people in New York City really, once he got in office, were like, what the hell? So I don't even think even New Yorkers are huge fans of Bloomberg. Let's see here. Lance is out there, says that Bernie's heart couldn't last through a debate against Trump. That's probably true, but that would be a fun debate. It really would. It would be a fun debate to see, especially on SNL. That would be a great one. Holy shit, Mr. Knives out there. What's up, my man? Yow! I haven't seen Knives for a while. Coming to us from behind enemy lines. Let's see here. Well, I mean, they're talking about Bernie acting like Oprah. Well, that's just the socialistic ticket. That's kind of what they're based on is, what people don't realize. I want to throw something out there and we'll discuss this if you want, talking about communism earlier. On paper, let's be real, on paper, the greatest governmental doctrine that's ever been written or idea of government is communism on paper. Right. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work. So, I mean, the idea of everyone being equal and everyone being taken care of, it's a beautiful, wonderful idea. It just doesn't work because what you're doing is there's got to be someone who runs that program or a group of people that runs that. And so you're preaching equality, but yet the people that are running it are just absolutely slaying everybody that's in the program. So no, communism is only going to breed corruption. All government's going to breed corruption, but communism is actually on paper a beautiful thing. It's just it doesn't work. It really doesn't work. Let's see here. Everyone's saying he's a commie. He's a commie. He's a commie. We've already discussed that. We've already
more of a socialist, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, once again, there is a fine line between socialism and communism. It's not really a fine line. It's a pretty big line. There are parts of what they're talking that are sounding more communist than socialist, but I think they're more socialist than anything. I don't think that they want Fidel Castro. No. Fidel Castro is a dictator that was being controlled by a communist regime in the Soviet Union. And by the time the Soviet Union and the wall fell, Castro, he already had his grip on there. I mean, he was there already for 20 plus years, so it's not like Castro was a communist. Castro was a revolutionist who got picked by a group of people that wanted an island 90 miles off of the U.S. coast that they could control. And Castro wanted power, and he said, okay, not a problem. Let's see here. Hate goes tactical. I hate you too. I don't know what you're talking about. Ghost Bernie's getting a lot of heat and whatever for supporting Castro's socialism plan. Once again, a socialist is a socialist. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. It really doesn't. Here's the problem that I have, and you guys will probably know this, but for the average American who is on governmental funds and relief, whether it's food stamps, whether it's the WIC program, welfare, unemployment, anything that they're going to get relief from the government, they're going to end up making roughly around $35,000 a year. The biggest problem we have is this. Why would someone go and get a minimum wage job when their government will pay them $35,000 a year to play video games? Mm-hmm. So I don't necessarily blame a lot of these people that don't have jobs because they're a victim of what they're being given by the government. Honest to God, if I could make $35,000 a year to literally do nothing in my life, and my only other option was a minimum wage job down the road, yeah, I'm going to go play video games. And I'm going to take the welfare from the government. So what needs to happen, and that's the socialistic part of this, is this. If we're going to do that, I'm all for helping someone out. We all need a help. We all need to be lifted up by our bootstraps, and we need help at different times in our lives. Mm-hmm. But maybe let's cap that off at 3 months, 90 days, 100 days, whatever that is. Hey, we're going to help you out. But after 90 days, it's cut off. We're going to force you to go try to find a job. We're going to force you to pick yourself up. We're going to help you up. We're going to give you a flotation device. Oh. But once we've gotten you back to land, you're on your own. And it sounds bad, but sometimes tough love is what we need. What do you guys think about the welfare and the socialist part of things and cutting? Would you be for continuing with welfare, unemployment, and food stamps and all that if there's a cap on it?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think we need to go back to the days of there being a little bit of shame in it. Okay. That's where tangible food stamps, I think, came into play, and they went to the stupid EBT, whatever cards,
right?
Where you can't, I mean, I can spot them a mile away, but I mean, it looks like somebody's using a debit card, right? You used to have to tear Monopoly money out of a book. And just, I know from being on them once upon a time, myself, many moons ago, that it's demoralizing. It's, you know what I'm saying? Everybody knows what those are. And it takes time. You can't just swipe it and nobody see it. I mean, it takes time to count those out and to do all. So there's a little bit of shame in it in a way. And even back then there was people that were shameless, right? Let's air that out. But for those that there was shame in it, then that was a motivation for them to better themselves. I want to get away from this. I don't want to be using these. I don't like the way I get looked at when I use these. You know, there was a stigma around it and some other stuff. Same goes for, I don't have a problem, let's say, with the WIC program, right? Mm-hmm. The Women and Children WIC program. A lot of people use WIC, and WIC is great, especially if you've got a baby that requires formula, because some of these formulas are god awful expensive. Right. And so, especially for young families and stuff, that really helps. My God, you're already having to buy diapers and, all this other stuff. And so, it does help when you're paying $20, $25, $30 a can for some type of formula, right? But here's the difference between WIC and food stamp program is it's limited, right? It's like you can get orange juice, you can get milk, you can get baby formula, you can get cereal, you can get some oatmeal. That's it. It's not open-ended that you can get candy bars and chips and T-bone steaks and all this other stuff. And whatever happened to commodities? I can remember my great-grandmother being on commodities and going down and getting the big block of cheese and the big block of butter and bread and produce and rice and beans and all of this stuff. There was commodities that help supplement certain things, right? And so with commodities, that helps with, you talk about this system that it's helping everybody. With commodities, that's helping your local farmers and your local producers and stuff like that, because that's where that stuff ultimately comes from. It comes from those small local mom and pop farmers that are making a contract with the government that, okay, we pledge to buy X number of dollars worth of your product. Well, that helps them to grow their farms and to move into a bigger level of production, right, with their farms and stuff, or make it through hard times or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I think with the way the food stamp program is now, and notice I call it food stamp, I don't call it welfare or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But the way it is now, I think we need to go back to a situation to where there are some type of limitations. For example, the one thing that aggravates the complete dog crap out of me, and for the life of me I don't understand why, is if I go in and I buy let's say a soda, right? I pay tax on that when I pay cash. So if I have to pay tax on that soda when I pay cash, then how is it that a person with an EBT can put that on the EBT?
Right.
Anything that's taxable, food is not taxable. Okay.
Correct.
Well, in Oklahoma,
convenience items and things like that. Well, for I think in most states,
Milk, bread, eggs, the actual, those are not taxable.
Even
in Oklahoma, all those are.
Even canned goods. Wow. Okay.
Oh, wow. Not anywhere I've ever lived. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that would be a good standard to start, is things like that, right? It's like if a regular person paying cash pays tax on it, you can't get it with an EBT. You can't. And I don't know what Oklahoma's deal is, so I won't comment on that. But that's
I don't either.
Yeah,
I was shocked whenever I found out Kansas didn't have it. I mean, Texas didn't have it. Gary said Kansas, they pay tax on everything too.
Well, let's play the actual bare essentially, the milk, water, bread, eggs. Yeah, you don't pay tax on those here.
Yep.
I just thought that was everywhere. I don't know. I guess I'm wrong.
With if you're out there in the chat and your state does that, it'd be interesting to know. But that leads to another thing that would severely help, I think, and that's tax reform. And one thing that I'm a big fan of, not across the board without other changes, but I'm a big fan of a national sales tax. And the reason is you've got these people that are on government assistance, and they spend money on things that at least some of it would get put back into the pipeline if there was a national sales tax. And you got people that are on government assistance that are doing other things. I'm not going to say that it's necessarily standing on the street corner slinging illegal goods or anything like that, but they could be, babysitting, or you're doing something, right? Making money on the side that's not reported. And so when they go to spend said money, if there was a national sales tax, then it wouldn't matter who it was, from the hardworking individual that's of course paying a sales tax now, to drug dealers. We would be getting money off of multiple people that could then funnel back in to pay for some of this stuff. Also, I'll take it a step further when it comes to government assistance. I absolutely hate the idea. I'll say this up front. I hate the idea of the government saying what people can and can't do, right? That being said, if you're on the government dime, I think it's a given that you're beholden to the government at that point, right? That's so true. If I reach out and I accept help from the government, it's the same as if I was to reach out and accept help from Ghost or Snob, and then that help comes with strings, right? And everybody knows what I'm talking about. You borrowed money from family or friends or whatever, and that crap came with strings, right? One of those strings, if we're going to go down the road and we're going to have this welfare program, one of those strings need to be that you're done, whether you get the IUD or whatever, or your tubes tied, or the vasectomy or whatever. If you're on the government dole, that's it. There ain't no children. You can do something that's reversible or whatever, but you ain't having children on the government dole.
Yeah. There's a lot of discussion about different taxes going on about there, and Snob and Gary are going back and forth. I want to bring that up in a second, Snob, but One of my buddies, he's a young man who's serving our country in the Air Force, stationed up in Alaska. He's also a very dear family friend of mine. He's you guys see Lance Fires out there, and Lance is from my hometown. Well, he lived where I live now for a long time, and ended up coaching a lot of baseball and softball with his dad. I'd known Lance worked for me back in the day. Lance is in the Air Force right now, serving in the Air Force. So what's up, buddy? He says no taxes in Alaska, and I'm going to use that as something to what Gary is snob and what Clover is saying about this national sales tax, and saying, well, we pay here locally sales taxes about with all the different, penny taxes and all of that stuff that are attacked on from the school and the county and all that. We're paying damn near 10% right now in sales tax here where I live. That being said, is they're talking about, and even Snob was saying, hey, I wouldn't mind paying the sales tax. I just don't want to pay income taxes. Well, I grew up in Texas and all of that, and there was no income taxes in Texas. But I promise you this, they're going to get their money, and it's probably in property taxes or something else. When we were living in San Antonio, we had, I think it was like, let's say a 2,000 square foot house. We built it, and it was, on, let's say, a third of an acre of land. Nice house, but it was nothing big. It was just a normal house. And my property taxes were $7,000 a year for that, because we had no income taxes. Now, I live in Arkansas. We have state income taxes. I now have a bigger house on a lot more land, and I pay less than $1,000 a year in property taxes. So, they're going to get their money regardless. And we can sit there and say, well, taxation is theft and all that. And you're right. I get it. But they're going to get their money. So, it's one of those things where I don't know. I don't know where I would want to come down if I had to choose. I don't know if I'd rather have
with me
no income taxes with higher. They're going to get one way or the other. They're going to get their money.
I'm not for again.
But I do like what Snob was saying. I don't mind paying taxes on things that I buy or use, but not what I make. I'm all for it. I have no problem paying my sales tax. I get it. But yes, where I live and what I make, that shouldn't be taxed, in my opinion. We're already paying taxes on that stuff, Yeah.
Well, I mean, what I said earlier was I'm not for a national sales tax without reform to other taxes. In other words, here in Texas, we need to take a serious look. If we're going to do that, then we need to take a serious look at property taxes first and say, okay, property taxes have to come down so many percent in order for us to add this percent to sales tax. But the reason I like it is if I've got to pay taxes, everybody else should have to pay taxes. That's my overall point.
That's my problem is all the people that get back, way more than they ever pay in every year. And they're all excited because it's March and I am dreading April.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait for my tax check. Really?
What's that?
What's that? Exactly. I usually don't owe a lot because I still have a kid that I can claim as a dependent, and that truly does help, especially when they're in school. It helps a lot. But, I mean, it's just, like I said, I'll tell you what I'm for. I'm all for, if you're going to have the income tax, then let's just make it a 25% income tax. Nationwide doesn't, but there's not going to be any deductions whatsoever. If you make, $20,000 a year, sorry, you're going to pay $4,000. But if you're making $20 million a year, guess what? You're going to pay $5 million, or whatever that would be. Yeah, whatever it would be. You're going to pay that. So no matter what you make, we're not going to, because a lot of people that are making all this money, they can hide behind a lot of tax shields. They have a lot of ways to minimize what they're going to pay. But if you just say we're going to pay a 25% federal income tax, no state income taxes, no sales tax, no other taxes, no property taxes, no nothing, but everyone's going to pay 25% federal income tax, and that's what we're going to do. we'll be fine, because there's no way that these multi-millionaires, they're making $50 million a year. Well, guess what? They're going to pay their $12 million. You can get it taken out of your paychecks, however you want to get it done. But if you do a 25% federal income tax, but you eliminate all of the taxes, I'm okay with that. Would you guys go for a federal income tax if it's just blanketed across everybody, or do you like the scaled system that we're in right now?
I definitely don't like the scaled system. But again, what I don't like about the income tax is you've got people that they don't have skin in the game. And that's what I don't like about that. Now, if you're going to go to a national sales tax and then you want to do an across the board 8% or 10% or something, then I'm drop it from 25 down drastically.
I was just throwing a number out there
because
25, but yeah,
the rich people and the companies you're talking about, they buy crap too. So they're paying into the national sales tax. So, theirs can get dropped too. I don't have a problem with that.
So let me propose this, and this could be interesting. 5% federal sales tax and a 10% federal income tax, and that's it. No state level taxes, no other sales taxes. People, I would be for a 5% national sales tax and a 10% federal income tax. I'm all for that. And I do I like what you're saying about that is rich people buy stuff too. So yeah, once again, I have no problem paying the tax on stuff we're going to buy or use. I'm all for that. I would be open to a 5% sales tax and 10% income tax. What do you guys think?
Well, and there's another idea that kind of goes with that flat rate too, that I think I kind of like, that I would like to see implemented, is have so many times, like once every 10 years or something along that lines, 4 times in your lifetime. I don't know, something, but have an exemption for that income tax. Like once every, you feel me? Get what I'm saying? Like,
income tax side of it,
pay 10 years. Because let's say we always talk about, unforeseen circumstances and medical expenses, and people get down and have hard times and other things, right? So what if you work for an entire year, you ended up losing your job, right? What if you could get an exemption to where you did get a refund? They kicked you back that money over the year, and then instead of you being on unemployment, drawing unemployment, and then being on the government dole and all this other stuff, that's like, okay, this was your money you paid in taxes, but we're gonna, you filed for this, you're allowed X number of exemptions in X number of years or whatever, so here it is. And then that could potentially keep people from going down a very dark road, right? It would be kind of a safety net, but it's a safety net with money that you're paying in too.
Okay, I'll take it a step further and say I like the idea of a once a decade exemption, or I would even say once every 5 years.
Let me rephrase this too. Up to a certain amount. I think there needs to be a cap on it.
Okay, let's just say that you can take every 5 years, you can take half of your taxes will be forgiven. But you still have to pay them. But what's going to happen is instead of a Social Security, okay, you're not going to pay into Social Security anymore. But every 5 years, half of your federal income taxes will be put towards your retirement plan. And when you turn 65, they're going to give you, once again, you've already paid this money into it, but at 65 for the next 30 years of working, what that's going to do is entice people to actually work, because now that is your retirement plan instead of Social Security. Instead of me right now, all of us are paying for our parents' Social Security right now. But right now, my taxes will be put into an account gaining interest. It's a federal 401k plan.
Right.
Something like that. I'm all for that as well.
I think it's education.
Hold on. Before we jump down there, I know Snob was going to talk earlier. I don't want to cut him off. Well, you had something you were going to call me, I think, earlier. Did you not, Snob?
I don't remember now. I'm just don't want to pay. I just don't want to pay income tax whenever everybody else don't have to. That's what I get frustrated about.
Let me ask you guys,
especially in my line of work, I know a lot of people that will only work for cash, period, doing different kinds of stuff. And there's a good reason for it. They're making better money than me, even though they're making less money in the long run.
So what if we took away income taxes? Since we are a free market and we only have a federal sales tax, but it's going to be 20% sales tax. But no income taxes.
Well, I would put stipulations on that though, on stuff that is necessities has to be a lower tax rate.
Or food. The whole thing that you guys are paying on
food. 10% on food, let's say, but 20% on entertainment items or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with TVs, computers, guns, whatever. If you're going to tax stuff like that, whatever. Although guns are kind of a necessity. I don't know.
Right. But no, it's interesting. These conversations are interesting because
I don't have a problem with extra tax on guns if there's extra tax on everything else. If it's across the board, that's one thing. If it's just on guns, that's obviously second legislation,
But as long as video games, cars, Tide Pods, they're getting the same tax that guns and ammo are, It would be interesting. And I know that we kind of went down some rabbit holes, but I love these kind of discussions because it really does. We are stuck in a system that we just assume can't ever be changed. But why can't it? Yeah. Why can't someone come and say, look, the tax problem is an issue. We all know that the tax plans that are always being presented are going to make the rich richer. So
I'm going to say something unpopular real quick.
Even playing field. Go ahead.
It's not only all these people out there talking about how the rich do this to not pay taxes. How many people that pay, make 25, 30,000 a year, get back 15,000 at the end of the year, and they don't pay in nearly that. That also gripes me.
So I'm going to play the devil's advocate on the side of taxation is theft.
Okay.
So here's a novel idea. Since we're talking about
just in general
since we're talking about different ways of changing tax up, right? Here's a novel idea. How about we pull government out of education and we pull government out of road and bridge and we turn all that over to the private sector?
You know why? But we also know why education and roads are part of government. We know that Roosevelt had to do that to pull us out of the Great Depression. Hell, that was 100 years ago, 80 years ago when that happened. So, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, we need to understand that the more government is involved with everything, the less and less that we're going to have. And that's just the reality of it. So I agree with you. I'm all for it. We know why government's involved with education. We know why government's involved with roads and everything else. But that was 80 years ago when we had to pull ourselves out of a depression. That doesn't. I mean, we also had Social Security back then. Once again, there's a time and place for things, but I think there are better ways now of doing things. And yeah, it's interesting. This is a great conversation. I love it.
What I was going to say earlier, I'm glad you mentioned Social Security, is what I was going to say about it. And you were talking about it being retirement, and that's a farce. That's what we and I'll say we as the vast majority of Americans is view it as a retirement. And the dirty secret of that is when the Social Security legislation was passed, it was never meant for a man to draw Social Security.
Right.
It was meant for his wife maybe to draw it for a couple of few years.
Right.
But life expectancy and everything else. And now you've got people that are on Social Security for 20, 30 years. It never was meant for that. And so, but you start talking Social Security and that's political suicide, Jack, because some generation somewhere is going to have to yank the Band-Aid on Social Security. And so far, no generation has been willing to do it.
Well, I think that Bush George W. Bush at least had a thought, and I don't think it was the right with privatizing social. I don't think that was the answer, but he was the first person that actually made it an issue, that was not afraid to say, maybe we can try this. I don't think that privatizing Social Security is the answer. I think that Social Security in itself is a travesty. I think that, and this is no offense to people out there, but people, once again, people have to learn to protect themselves. They have to do things on their own. If you want to go to the track in your 40s and 50s and spend all of your money, or go to the casinos and blow everything you've got when you're 65 and you still have to work till you're 80, that's on you. But see, that's the American dream. If you want to put money aside and say this is for retirement, then that's just called being responsible. Right. But I don't think the government needs to be in the retirement game. That's just me. Yep. Once again, we all know that right now our generation is paying our parents' Social Security every month. What's going to happen when the kids of the baby boomers are on Social Security, which is me, 20 years from now, when I get on Social Security, and 2 generations, my generation's having 1, maybe 2 kids now, where we were all part of the baby boomers' kids that were having 3, 4, 5, and we're all paying into this. Now there's not that many people who can be paying into Social Security, but now when we go on to 65 years old and get it, there's not going to be the money. So here's the thing. Sorry for you. That's on you. Once again, it all goes back to picking yourself up, getting your own job, not relying on the government. If you're going to live in poverty, I'm sorry, but that's on you. There was a question out there that said that I think it was Nicholas, and this is a long time ago, I'm just now remembering it. Has I have ever been to the projects? People don't want to live like that. Laziness is an issue. Yes, I have been to the projects. Have you ever been to a trailer park?
I work on mobile homes, and I have done a lot of low-income housing work. I can tell you all about how lazy it is.
Yeah, the trailer parks in Texas, Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, Tennessee, the trailer parks of the South are just as bad as the projects in the hood in the urban areas. And I agree with you. Not all of them are lazy. There are people that are trying. There are people that are working 2 jobs and still can't afford anything else. But there are a lot of people that aren't doing shit.
I've always wondered, I do mobile homes now, and I've always been amazed whenever you go to work on people's houses and nobody in the house works, and they just bought a brand new mobile home. I'm like, how?
I love going to the Walmart and seeing a woman with 6 kids that are on food stamps and all that, and they walk out and they got a brand new Dodge Charger outside.
And their cart is mounded full of groceries, and here I am with just a little few things.
Yep.
That's always frustrating to me.
So I don't want to make this a race thing, because it's not a race thing.
Nope.
Laziness is laziness.
Oh, yeah.
Whether you're in a project or you're in a trailer park. If they're going to give you $30,000 a year to do shit, a lot of people are going to take them up on that.
When you tell that story about getting in the Charger, the one story that comes to mind that I always tell people was got in line behind this younger chick, had a couple kids. First thing I noticed, they're wearing Nike shoes. And we're talking about little kids that are going to outgrow those shoes in like a month. Wearing Nike shoes, got steaks, got all this other nice stuff. Here I am with my little pittance of stuff I got to get. She pays for her stuff. Grocery sacker guy takes her stuff out. I pay. Doesn't take me long to check out, obviously, because I don't have very many things. I go out. She's loading them in a brand new, what am I thinking? Camaro, right? Okay. The story here, when you're talking about a racist thing, this chick was white.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's just as many. It knows no color.
Well, I love one of it's one of my favorite memes, because it's just blatantly just pisses me off true, but there was a meme I saw, I don't know, a couple years ago on Facebook or whatever, and it started out, and a guy, old homeless guy on the street, says, "We'll work for food," and then it pans out, and standing right next to him is a guy in a Walmart shirt says, now hiring. There are a lot of people, and I know a lot of them here.
Right.
And we all know these people. They would rather not get a job than get a job that they think is beneath them. You know what? Here's me. If I have to get a second job for whatever reason, or a third job or a fourth job, and one of those is being a fry cook at a fast food restaurant, maybe it's just me, but I'm going to be the best damn fry cook in the history of the world. I'll do whatever it takes to get my family in a position where they're not suffering. That's just me. Once again, it does come to laziness, and it does come to a lot of things. But understand, my whole point is we've got to make sure that people understand that we're here to help, but we're not here to support.
Right.
Cap it, whatever you want to cap it off at. But yeah, it's just one of those things where, to me, when you give people of this country the chance to be lazy, that's when laziness takes over. And why is America so lazy? Because we can be. And I hate that.
Yeah. Well, one thing. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. No, it's done.
Just one thing that frustrates me is all these people say, well, I can't make it on minimum wage. I can't make it on minimum wage. Well, guess what? Yeah. All of us started on minimum wage. And if you work your ass off and work hard, guess what? You won't be on minimum wage, but just a few weeks or months. They see you work, you'll get a promotion real quick.
Yeah. Nowadays, yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, you can be a manager at a stinking McDonald's or Sonic or Brahms or whatever, making good money now.
Yep.
It really speaks to how great this country is when the poorest of our poor can be picky. And I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to give you an example of this, right? So I don't carry cash very often. So I was in a store. I don't remember what it was, coming out of a grocery store or something, right? And so I get approached by a guy that looks rather downtrodden, right? Tells me, "Oh man, you got any change? You got any money, man? I'm so hungry. I want something to eat." I'm like, "Dude, I don't have any cash." I said, "But I tell you what," and I opened it up and I had a package of Twinkies. And I was like, "You're welcome. You're welcome to that. These, He looked at me like I was crazy and turned around and walked off. Now, if he was truly hungry, if it was a third world country poor, you think they'd have turned down those Twinkies?
All right. So I got into an argument. I got into a discussion that ended up being a relatively heated discussion with some 23, 24-year-olds. And it turned into whining about, I just can't find the right job. I'm having to be a waitress here because I've got this business degree, but no. There's jobs out there, but you're expecting to come out of college because you have a college degree, and you're expecting middle management jobs. You're expecting 50 grand, 60 grand a year straight out of college. No. You go make that $25,000 or $30,000 a year job, and you work up to that. They don't want to do that. Secondly, I said, look, you have no idea how good you have it. Why don't you go to Somalia? Why don't you go to Egypt? Why don't you go to these countries that have no outdoor plumbing? They have no sewage systems. They have nothing. There's literally sewage floating down little canals in the street. You have people who have had their food stolen from them from tribal leaders, and you're having to feed them peanut butter and rice to survive. And come back to me and say on your cell phone that your life is hard. Right. And I'm a big proponent of this, and this is a whole other rabbit hole that I don't want to go down. Maybe we will in another chat. I'm a huge proponent of national service at the age of 18 to 20. Doesn't have to be military. Serve your country in some capacity. Go outside of your bubble. Figure out that your life is pretty damn good. The minimum wage in America is what some people in this world make in a month or two. What you make in an hour at your $9 an hour is what people are going to make in a month in other places. So go outside your bubble and figure out how good you fucking have it. Then you can come back and say, oh, my life is so bad. I don't get a job. I can't do anything. Oh, man, no one's looking at my Snapchat. My gosh, So I love it. I love listening to people when they say that their lives are so hard. there are some people that have hard lives. We all know those people, but the guy that's waiting tables talking about that his life changes, because he can't find the right job. You have a job. What you make of that job, we're not here. And I'll tell you something that my dad told me. My dad said, we're not here to walk you through the door. We're just there to get you to the door. What you do once you're at the door, whether you knock or not, is up to you. If you decide to knock, whether you walk in and make the best of that situation, is up to you. My job is to get you to that door. There's a lot of people that will never knock, much less do anything well while they're inside that room. So interesting rabbit holes we went down to, but I enjoy these kind of conversations. You guys have anything else you want to close up on that conversation?
I got one little thing. College ain't the be all end all. I keep telling my kids, I don't care if you go to college. Go to a tech school. Learn a trade. There's more money in welding or electrician or something like that, an actual trade, than you'll ever make getting out of college for 10 years. You'll start at that pay what people out of college for 10 years are doing if they can find their job.
You'll find what a welder makes.
And I don't even care and I told mine this, I don't even care if they do that, because like Snob said earlier, I know I've got a friend that it was his nephew, started out as a cook in Sonic. Within 10 years, right? And 10 years ain't that long of time. When you're young, 10 years seems like a long time, but I'm telling you, you get older, 10 years ain't that long. Within 10 years, he owned 3 Sonics.
Yeah.
Yep. He started flipping burgers at Sonic, and within 10 years, he owned 3 Sonics.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Yeah. Just work hard, set goals, learn how to set your goals, and learn how to plan for your future. And it doesn't matter the job, the career, the schooling, none of that matters.
I went to tech school for auto body, and due to other circumstances of my extracurricular activity and wife getting pregnant, girlfriend at the time, I went to work in construction and never looked back. And I make a good living now just from working. Of course, I didn't make crap whenever I started in construction. I was just getting by.
You did what you had to do.
I own my business and make a good living finally.
That's right. But you did what you had to do for your family at the time. You never know what's behind that door. Once again, if you're out there, we're not saying that college is the answer. We're not saying that college isn't the answer. But find something that you're passionate with. Whatever that is. Welding. I mean, whatever that is. Find something you're passionate at and go do that. If you're passionate about it and you work your ass off, good things are going to happen to you.
You can work your ass off at anything and make a good living.
I've got a similar story to Snobs in a way. So a lot of people don't know this, but I'm an ASE certified mechanic, right? So that's basically, I worked at I think I've talked about it, full service gas stations, stuff like that, different places. In high school, and then
you're dating yourself at full service gas station.
I understand that. Well, it wasn't that long ago, honestly. But anyway,
and he's younger than I am. Hell.
So what happened was I got, and I've told this story a bunch of times, but I basically did suspension, chassis, alignment, tire, undercar, brake type stuff, right? More so than engine. That was kind of my thing. So I was working for Sears, got a really good job with Sears, and they got tired of people working on the alignment machines, having to call techs in to work on the alignment machines. So they were looking for 2 guys to go to school, right? So this is on the job. They're going to send you to school, right? And this is how things progress. And this is also what Ghost's talking about seizing those opportunities and not just knocking on the door or answering the door, but kicking the door down sometimes, right? And none of the old geezers that worked there wanted to go. They were, you know what I'm saying? It was me and one other younger dude. He was a little younger than me, I think. And we raised our hand and we were like, heck yeah. We got paid like time and a half anytime we worked on the machines and all this other stuff. Heck yeah. And so in the process of that, guess what? Those things were computers, right? So that was my first foray into fixing computers. And so next thing you know, I'm kind of just working part-time in the bedroom and stuff like that, fixing computers on the side and things like that. And then the youngest child comes along and everybody knows how expensive daycare is and all that crap. And it's like, well, my wife was a nurse, blah, blah, blah. And I could be a stay-at-home dad, I'm staying at home, I'm with her, whatever, and I could continue to do this computer thing and maybe start my own business out of it. And that was one of them situations. That was the start of 20 years of owning my own business, basically retiring from owning my own business, right? And it's just that natural progression of things, just thinking about things, making those plans, taking those opportunities. And I think a lot of people get comfortable and complacent, and they just don't, like Ghost talking about, they just don't think outside the box or go outside their comfort zone ever.
Real quick before I let Snob or I just talk about things, that's a great point. But AB out there, $2 super chat says, "Hey everyone, go sign my red flag loss petition." So AB, if you're still out there, let me know what that link might be, and we'll make sure people get over there. As far as I'm concerned, my problem is this. Okay, so I don't have a college education either. I spent my 4 years of college was in the United States Marine Corps, so we learned a whole different education. But when you get out, I was worried when I got out that, okay, now I'm behind the 8 ball. Now I don't have a college education. I'm going to have to go find a job. I've got a kid now and I'm married and I'm screwed. And my dad was an executive in companies, and he hired and fired all these people all the time. And he sat me down one time and he said, "Look, you may not have a diploma, which is a piece of paper that said you spent 4 or 5 years and graduated. Your piece of paper said I spent 4 or 5 years and graduated the Marine Corps. So as someone who hires people, you've learned teamwork, you've learned responsibility, you've learned time management, you've learned a skill. It may not equivalent a skill that could equate to every job, but you've learned a skill. You've learned how to worry about plans and all that. You have, regardless of what you think you've done in the Marine Corps, you have learned a skill set that many employers are going to like, because you do know how to work as a team. You're going to be dependable. You're going to show up on time. You're going to look somewhat, presentable when you show up. So it's just like, oh, I got you. I never thought about that. And so a piece of paper, which is your discharge, to some people means the same thing as a diploma. Yeah, you spent 4 or 5 years and you got through it. That's what it is. So I'm not saying you had to go to college. I'm not saying don't go to college. You don't have to join the military. You don't have to go to trade school. Find something that you're passionate in and go be the best damn whatever that is that you can be. And I think that's kind of what we've been talking about is
I've had a lot of trouble hiring people. And all I ask for is show up to work every day and work hard. You don't have to know what you're doing. I'll teach you how to do it. Just show up and be willing to learn and actually be there.
I will say this. If you don't have a plan, don't go to college, because you're wasting your money, or you're wasting somebody's money. So college, to me, college is something that needs to be done once you've had a plan. Look, I want to get into this career field. I want to do this. That's all part of a plan. And I can go to this college for 2 years, look at the college, the cost of that college, the curriculum, weigh everything out. That's all part of a plan to me. Sure. Nowadays, I think people just go to college for something to do, which is ridiculous.
Well, I think it ought to be changed that you don't go to college till you're like 30. You work 10 years and then go to college. And I think you get a lot more out of college at that age than you ever would at.
Look at having, I can't tell you, that's a great point, Snob. I can't tell you the number of people I know that have like degrees in different things, because over the span of their lifetime, they've actually went to college like 3 different times. But you know what? That's also a part of growth. And for a certain amount of time, you may find a passion in a certain thing. I get all that too, and I don't fault nobody for that. So if you go to college 4 times in your lifetime, as long as there's a plan involved in all of that, go for it. But if you're just going just to go, then you're wasting your time. You're wasting your money. A lot of people
that go to college because they think that's what they have to do, or parents have told them you're going to college because that's a life that either that's what everyone's done in the family, or no one's done and said, hey, you're going to go to college. You're going to be the first one. I'm not putting down college at all. But if you're, like you said, if you're not going for the right reason, and that is to learn special or even general knowledge to help you in a career, And I hate people that sit there and say, oh, don't go and get a liberal arts degree or a math degree. You can't do anything but teach with those degrees. So if they want to be a math teacher, then let them be a fucking math teacher. If they want to go, if they're passionate about math, God help them. But if they're passionate about math, then let them go get a math degree. It's that simple. I think that it comes down to the parenting. This is just me. By the way, I did put a link out there for AB's red flag laws thing. So petition, go sign it. So thank you, AB, once again. But I think it comes down to the parenting. If you create an atmosphere for your kids that from day one, these kids know that they're loved, they're supported, and their parents believe in them. And your parents, I don't care what my daughter is. I don't care what she does. That's her choice. But I want her to work hard. I want her work ethic to be strong. I want her to be compassionate, and I want her to care about people. And as long as she does those things in life in general, I don't care what she is. But she doesn't have to go to college. She doesn't have to do anything. As long as she's a productive citizen and not living off of me or the government or anything else, she's able to support herself and be a productive citizen. Isn't that what we really want? We should want for our kids. But a lot of parents are going to kind of console and really protect their kids, overprotect them. And it's like, no, just let them be. There's an old John Sebastian song that says you can tell your kids not to stick their fingers in the fan. But eventually they're going to, and you have to let them. You've got to let them stick their fingers in the fan. So budgets here. Yeah. Are you off work or are you just sneaking in and being the bad little law enforcement officer?
I'm sneaking in because I have a story that's relevant to the topic.
Okay, go for it.
Working, if you want something, work your ass off to get it, and you can get it. It's personal, but it's not about me. It's about my younger brother. We grew up dirt poor. Welfare, food stamps, whole 9 yards. My stepdad was an abusive alcoholic. And we had nothing. We came from nothing. As we got older, decided that we didn't want to do this. And my brother in particular. And when he turned 16, he got a job at our local cheese factory, our local dairy. And, he made cheese and butter and all that stuff. And he worked there until he was in his, he was 21, and he decided he was going to go to college. We all decided at that point, hey, you know what, we're going to college. So he went to Kent State University here in Ohio and eventually, in 4 years, got his bachelor's in criminal justice while he was still working full-time at the cheese factory, going to school full-time, going to work full-time. In there, he got married and had a daughter that, he was doing the family, the college, and the work thing all at the same time. Decided he wanted to continue with it. So he kept working at that cheese factory. He worked there a total of 16 years. But after he graduated, got his bachelor's in criminal justice, he went to Akron University and got his law degree in 4 years. Still working full time, still juggling the family, and juggling, the hectic schedule of a law student, plus doing internships and everything. This is a guy that came from nothing. I know, I was there with him, and he pulled himself up because of one thing and one thing only. He wanted it. He decided he was going to do it. And he did it. Now he is a family court magistrate and considering a run for judge when the next judge retires. Fantastic. So there's no excuse for anybody to decide that, well, I'm too poor. I don't have this. I don't have that. Bullshit. Get off your ass. decide what you want, decide what you have to do to get that, and do it. There's no excuse.
Yeah, go take it.
Preach, brother.
That's
Absolutely. I love that.
Yep.
Well, and it goes even a step further. You sit there and say, okay, look, is everyone's going to have things in their life that's going to happen to them. We're all going to have setbacks. We're all going to have this, that, and the other. What I love is what people need to understand is the American way, okay? Not the human way, not the, just the American way. We don't guarantee you happiness. What we do is we guarantee you the pursuit of happiness, and what you do with that pursuit is up to you. And that is what makes us beautiful. Everyone, no matter what your background is, where you come from, who your parents are, where you lived growing up, whether you had shoes or not, everyone is guaranteed the ability to get what they want out of life. And happiness is defined by the individual. Mm-hmm. To me, happiness is something completely different than Clover, Snob, or Budget. And it doesn't matter what that happiness is, but you have the right to the pursuit of happiness. You're not guaranteed happiness. And I think that that's where it's not a particular generation. It's just our society as a whole. We've gotten spoiled. We are a very spoiled country. And we need to get back and remember there's a reason why, our grandfathers were called the greatest generation. They went to war, they came home and rebuilt the country. And while they were gone, their wives were rebuilding that country. And they didn't think of it, well, what's in it for me? They just did it.
Yep.
And we need to get back to that. And I love what you're saying, Budget, is it makes no difference what your background is, who you are, where you came from.
Right.
You can be exactly what you want to be.
It doesn't matter where you came from.
Makes no difference.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where you came from. What matters is where you're going and what you're going to do to get there. And on that note, I have to go back to work. I just felt I'd come and share that because it was germane to the discussion.
I love it. Yeah, thank you so much. I am going to say that unknown user said all this hate speech about self-reliance and personal responsibility is very triggering and offensive. We're here to trigger you. Yeah. Southpaw says, went back to school at 30 to obtain a doctorate in pharmacy, married with a 6-month child. It can be done. You must want it. That's right. Mm-hmm. Once again, it comes down to what do you want? And it comes down to what you perceive happiness is. And it's out there. It's out there. But don't let the government tell you that it's not out there, or don't let the government say, hey, we'll help you. We're going to take care of you. Don't rely on anyone. Now, if you need help, that's what we're here for. That's what your friends, family, and yes, at times the government's here to help out. But don't rely on anybody. That's what it's all about, is having pride in yourself. And I'm not trying to preach to anybody. I don't even know how the hell we got to this, but I love the fact, because I think everyone in this room, me, Snob, and Clover, all come from different backgrounds. We all come from different things that we've done in life. We've all been relatively successful. We've been successful in our own minds. We provided a roof and food for our families. And we've provided a way of life for our kids to have a chance in life. And that's really what it's about. But it doesn't matter. We come from different places. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter if you're from the trailer park or the projects. It doesn't come if you're from a silver spoon guy or a wooden spoon guy. It doesn't matter. Get out there, be self-reliant, work hard. And that's what it's all about. We've said this all the time. Work your ass off at whatever you're going to do. And I had a kid that works for me that his last day was Friday. And he's 20 years old, and he's going to go join the Navy. And so I wish Jacob out there luck. And he wants to be a SEAL. And I told him, I said, that's awesome. I want you to go try to be a SEAL. But if it doesn't work out, don't give up on the Navy, or don't give up on whatever they have you do. Just because your ultimate dream doesn't pan out doesn't mean that another dream won't be presented to you. And so I love what people are out there talking about, and it is. It's one of those things where it comes down to self-pride. That's exactly what it comes down to, is self-pride. What in the hell y'all talking about, Cal Tugger?
I don't know. I don't know what they're talking about. I was just referring. I don't think you two have ever even milked a cow. You said,
"Oh, I've milked a cow.
I have milked
and a goat, and a goat.
I have.
Yeah.
Understand that I grew up in Dallas, but a lot of my friends had ranches, so I would spend the weekends on their ranch. Now, once again,
I've never milked a goat. We had a dairy, so
you can milk anything with nipples. Don't you know that, Snob?
We had machines that did that.
I've never milked a goat. I have milked a cow, but you can milk anything. Don't you know that, fucker? So, all right. So, God bless. I have no idea. It's 8:45. Let's get out of here, or at least start shutting it down. Snob, I want to say congratulations, but I just saw an Instagram post. You hit 2,500. Fantastic.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
I know he's not going to. I'm going to brag on him. Snob is one of those guys that likes to have a good time, and he's going to have a good time and all that, but he works his ass off. So I'm proud of you. I know that you're doing it the right way for sure. There are other people out there that feel like they might have to buy subs or whatever the hell's going on with them, but you're doing it the right way. And I'm not going to speak for Clover, but I'm proud of you, and you're doing it the right way. So congratulations, and I look forward to you just kicking ass in the next however long you decide to do this. Now that being said, go ahead and brag on yourself and plug your shit.
I ain't got nothing to plug.
Yeah, you do. Come on now.
Not really. I started a new series. Go check it out.
That's what I was getting ready to say. I was hoping you're going to say that. I want to hear about the new series. If you guys haven't checked it out, you put a video out today. What's This Old Gun?
Yeah, I decided to do something because I got either between me or I have access to a whole lot of old guns that aren't really, anything to review. But I thought I'll figure out a way to make them interesting, do videos on them. So I've got about 10 already started episodes. I'm gonna see how it goes from there. If it gets any views, if it don't get any views, it's too much work researching too much stuff about old guns to do more than 10 to see how it goes.
Well, the reason why I enjoy it is I think you guys know, and most people out there know, I'm not an old gun guy. I don't like the revolver. I don't like old guns. I respect them. I like them, but I'm not going to go and get all nerd out on old guns. But what I do like is the history side. I'm a history buff. And it doesn't mean I'm going to go buy them, but I do like, the history that was the 681 you brought up today. And that I learned stuff about a revolver that I didn't know. So the history side of it, I appreciate. So I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, congratulations. I'm really happy for you, and just keep knocking it out. And Pink says he'll work for subs. So
meatballs or
what's that?
Did he want meatballs or cold cuts or what?
I was thinking probably like an Italian sub. What is that, like pepperoni and salami and I don't know, but meatball. I mean, the Italian subs are pretty good. Meatballs, my wife loves the meatballs. I'm a big fan of like a chicken bacon ranch. It's always been pretty good. Clover, what the hell?
What? I didn't do it.
Do you have going on? Anything you want to talk about?
Yeah, I can.
Go for it.
I want to echo what you said about Snob, though. Yeah, it's been fun to watch Snob grow and do his thing for last year or two or whatever. It's yeah, really cool. And another one out there that jumped in there for a little while is Budget too. So proud to call those guys friends and excited to see what they're doing.
I just call Budget the voice,
Speaking of that, I'm going to plug Budget's thing. He's doing a little thing where he's got some really cool stickers that he's selling, some really cool prize packages. I don't know all the ins and outs, so I'm just going to take the liberty to throw a link out there for everybody. So jump over there, check that out. And yeah, it basically is helping.
I seen today he said all prizes are, so I guess he sold 50 or whatever. So there's only like 50 left, I think. Yeah,
he says, in fact, out there in the chat, I see it now, only 50 left. So there you go. Some good prizes potentially, and more importantly, you're helping out a good dude. No, as far as my end, I dropped the Thunderstruck revolver video today. I got to play around with that for a little while, which was fun. I will admit to that for sure. If you want to know anything else about it, jump over and watch the video. It seems to be doing well so far. And then for those that do partake of the Gunstreamer platform. Also dropped the very first Gunstreamer original over there. So, and they're short. Doing them on purpose because, I want it to just be kind of short and to the point. The style of video series, basically, it's a FUD Life video series. So, if you follow the @FUD Life on Instagram, it's that just in a video form, more or less. So, jump over there, check those out. Log in, create an account, subscribe, do all the other stuff, watch other content there, support that platform over there, being Gunstreamer, if you can. And the newsletter drops tomorrow. That's another thing that I want to put out there because I get several people a month join on to the newsletter as they kind of find out about it. There's a lot of cool things going on in that monthly newsletter. So jump over on clovertech.com, scroll down. It only takes a minute, sign up, and you're good to go. And more importantly about the newsletter is anybody out there that has a newsletter, subscribe to their newsletter, because with the climate that we're in and social media and anti-gun sentiment and all this other stuff, not fear mongering, but should something happen, right? That's a surefire way that you've got communication with those people that you follow, that we consider everybody friends and everything else. And it'd be really sucky if somebody pulled the plug at some point and we just completely lost communication, right? So that's a really good way to do that, is those newsletters. So not just mine, but I'm pimping out everybody else that has one too, and telling you to go sign up for theirs. So that's it, man. Really good talk tonight.
Yeah, it was a great talk. And it went way differently than I thought that it was going to go. But that's what I love about this, is you start talking about some cool stuff, and it is what it is. Let the direction of the conversation drive the conversation. So, but yeah, no, I want to say congratulations to Snob again. Go check out Snob and Clover. If you guys are here, you must be bored out of your fucking minds. But thank you so much for spending the last damn near 2 hours with me and all that. And thank you to everyone that has been watching my stuff and subscribing in the last month or so.
You're about to hit a big milestone.
I didn't even realize it until yesterday. Someone made a comment on video, said I got here just in time before 5,000, and I was like, "What the hell?" So yeah, I'm like within 30 or so of 5,000. So thank you to everyone. I knew something was happening. Like I said, I haven't looked at numbers in a while, but I knew something was going on the last month because I get comments, like a shit ton of comments on the stuff. So I knew something was happening. And so I didn't realize everyone was subbing, but thank you. So yeah, we're getting ready to hit 5,000, which is crazy. So thank you to everyone out there. We hope you're enjoying the stuff. Now that a lot of my personal life has kind of gotten straightened out and all of that, yeah, we're going to get back to, as soon as weather gets back, I've got to shoot some stuff on the range. I haven't been to the range since range day at SHOT Show. That's sad. But I'm going to get to the range. I got some more videos that we're coming out with, so I'm looking forward to that. I've got 4 or 5 of them I've got to get done. So in the next couple of weeks, start seeing some different videos coming off some products and drills and all of that. We've got a couple really awesome people coming on the podcast in the next few weeks. So be on the lookout for that. But thank you so much, everyone. We really appreciate it. Once again, for those that did send out a comment or a text or an email or whatever over the last 3 weeks, thank you so much. It really means the world to me. But life's getting ready to start having fun again, and we're going to user says, I'd love to see you guys get together and have a 3-gun competition. The 3 of us live. I mean, Snob and I are what, 3.5 hours away. I think Clover's probably like 4 hours away. You know, if we meet in Tulsa, or if we met in Fort Smith, that's a couple hours from each of us for Snob. That's not too far from Clover. We could go to Walther, have a good time, and go to a range. We could probably sometime, that would be fun to kind of do one of those things where it's not too far from all of us. But yeah, I mean, a 3-gun competition.
Why 3-gun? Why not like bullseye pistol?
I was going 7 guns, but never mind.
It would be
long range. You know,
I'll do long range.
Yeah.
I'm too fat to do these ones that you have to run and exercise in.
Right.
Yeah. That's why I'm starting to really like Steel Challenge. because you're in like a 3x3 square and you don't have to move. I love it. I used to love IDPA, then my knees started really hurting.
That's not true. You do enough still challenge and you realize real quick you're moving.
Well, I understand, but you're not moving like an IDPA or USPSA.
Yeah, that's true.
Running,
but you're especially like your upper body. You realize real quick that your upper body's out of shape with that. I can promise you.
Yeah. So, but yeah, we'll do something, and we might have to do a collab video down the road. I'm sure that we could get several of us. That Gary's not too far. Get Stacy and Arminthia, and we could have an interesting little.
Jesse's fixing to be kind of close to you.
That's true. They're going to be in Missouri. They're going to be about 2.5 hours from me. They're going to be, well, I'm not going to tell them, but they're going to be about 2.5 hours from me, the opposite direction of where you are. But yeah, they'll be coming close. So Troy and Jesse will be close. So hell yeah, we should do something. And then Bucks lives only 40 minutes from me. Nighthawk lives about 2 hours from me. Off the X lives at literally about 4 minutes from me. So I mean, we've got enough people that we should have something like that. We'd be a fun, cool range day somewhere. Anyways, God, we're getting ready to go down to the rabbit hole. But guys, thank you so much for watching it live. If you're watching or listening in replay or in podcast form, utilize the comment section. Let us know how trashy we are and how much you hate us and how much you disagree with everything that we say, but at least you're commenting. Let us know if you have any questions. We'd love to answer them. If you have anything for Clover or for Snob, ask them as well. Make sure you get that. And of course, Sarge shows up as we're signing out. So he just says, yo, yo, yo. He must be playing with a yo-yo. So have fun with that. Or a giant paintball game, someone says. Paintball fucking hurts.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying, it hurts. If you never played paintball, it hurts.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. So yeah, Tulsa. Everyone's saying Tulsa. We should do something in Tulsa that people that want to go to JM Davis, you could. If you wanted to go to a range, they could. But something like laser tag one of the nights or something that would be kind of fun. There's got to be a laser tag somewhere in Tulsa.
Oh yeah, there's tons of them. 2 or 3 anyway.
Yeah, that'd be fun. So maybe we should start thinking about that, and that would be interesting. But thanks again, guys, for always. You guys have anything you want to say before we close out?
Nope.
Bye.
Nope. All right. Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you soon. Semper Fi.